What is good, YouTube? It's your boy Kevin, man. Back again, another video. The XMen, man. Let's get into it.
Entertaining. We got a lot of great things out of them, like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and one of my favorite films, X-Men Days of Future Past, but they also did a lot of things not so good. I personally think they botched a lot of the characters, and I plan to make a video on each of them, but today I wanted to put my focus on Iceman and the problems with him in the X-Men films. We first see Iceman, or wait, what's his real name?
Bobby.
We first see Bobby in the first X-Men film. He's a young teenager and is still in school, so he doesn't get much screen time and doesn't do much either. He freezes this fireball in class and makes Rogue an ice rose, which is pretty cool. He's definitely pulled some poontang with that trick more than once in the past. You ain't slick, Bobby. But that's pretty much all we see of him in the first film. Mystique impersonates him in more scenes than he's actually in. We see him again in X2, and he's got a slightly bigger role in this film. Stryker and his team swat Xavier's school while Logan is on babysitter duty, and Iceman doesn't do much here either. Logan goes on a rampage, and Bobby is told to stay back. I get he's still young, but me. He has some of the most overpowered powers. Let my boy rip some a little bit. Stryker tries to get to Logan, but Bobby finally realizes he has powers and makes an ice wall. This blocks Stryker and the rest of his team. Our boys escape, and they head to Bobby's crib. While there, he reveals to his family that he's mutant by freezing his mom's tea. They really love to show Bobby freezing small things, and that's about it, because after this, Bobby's jealous-ass brother calls in the one time, and they were not goofing around.
Wow. I remember that.
Put the knives down!
After this, Pyro starts letting it off, burning everything he can, and Bobby just lays there. Bobby? You could help right now. Also, why does the cop smoke Logan, shooting him in the head with no hesitation, but does nothing when Pyro starts shooting flames at everyone?
Right.
I don't know.
But yeah, Bobby doesn't do dick for the rest of this film. He just stays back in the bird with Rogue, and the rest of the team goes and handles business. Even Pyro dipped out to try to find some excitement. So yeah, let's move on. We see Bobby next in X-Men The Last Stand.
Finally!
Iceman actually does something in this film. He does his usual free shit to pull some poontang, but he also finally grows some hair on his nuts at the end of this when he finally fights Pyro. He turns into his full ice form for the first time. And yes, I was rock hard when this happened. He shuts down Pyro and gives him the old Paul Blart special in this much anticipated fight because everybody was ready for Iceman to fight Pyro because that dude's a douchebag. But that's it.
Yeah.
That's the only scene through the first 3 X-Men films where he does anything of significance at all.
Damn.
He shoulda, coulda, woulda done a lot more in this film. I know the runtime, budget, and him just being young played a role in him not doing much. But guess what?
Don't care, still don't care.
He was young in Wolverine and the X-Men, and guess what? He had a huge role. Firstly, he shot more than just ice blasts. He was actually engaged in the fights, and he was just overall a better and more powerful character in the show. There were multiple scenes where he actually came in and was a significant help. I remember one scene when he froze a whole plane down while in another plane. And then, before our boys crash landed, Iceman made like a plane runway for them to land safely on. And on top of all this greatness, I remember there was one scene where he froze Quicksilver.
Huh?
Who the f can do that?
He did more in those 2 scenes than he did in the entire first 3 films of the X-Men. Side note here, Emma Frost was an absolute baddie in this show. I'd have that shit like, yeah, who got that good D? I got that good D. Anyways, I don't want to hear any excuses. They did Colossus 32 and Cyclops, who's a huge X-Men favorite. They were just a little too worried about throwing down their cash cow Wolverine. Finally, we see Bobby again in X-Men Days of Future Past, banger movie by the way. Bobby's older here and more experienced, so we get to see him doing a little more. The Sentinels break in like the T-1000 on the Secret Sauce, the Secret Sazul, and Bobby shows us some new tricks. He's come a long way since cooling brewskis and freezing over ponds. He can instantly transform into his full ice form, and we get to see him riding ice for the first time, which is a classic thing he does. We've seen it in Wolverine and the X-Men. He actually did it all the time in that show, and he did it in that X-Men game. I don't know if you know about that X-Men game, but that shit was the bomb diggity. Bobby came in hot and froze the Sentinels over, but they used Sunspot's powers to counter his powers, and they eventually snatched him up and shattered him.
I remember that.
One problem here. It's known that Bobby is nearly unkillable in his ice form. Even if he's shattered like we see here, he can reform his body completely.
What?
So he shouldn't have died here, is what I'm trying to get at. Same thing for when the Sentinels melted him, he would recover from that too. Obviously the movies took his character in a different direction and made him significantly weaker, but why? Him being extremely powerful and nearly immortal is a big part of his character, but to be honest, I'm not surprised. They also hella nerfed Juggernaut, Storm didn't do jack diddle through these movies, Colossus, Cyclops, and more. And then when we got to the younger versions of the characters, Bobby was just not around. They didn't have him in the movies, I guess. At least Quicksilver was goated. The MCU was actually the one who threw him in the trash. So despite being in 4 X-Men films, he only had 2 notable moments, and in one of those, he was somehow killed. They pretty much resigned him to being a side character who shoots ice beams and freezes things once in a while. Even though he shoulda coulda woulda been one of the most powerful X-Men if they used him to his full potential. It's so bad that he actually changed his powers to become Lamplighter, and even then he was catching L's, eventually catching himself on fire. So, yeah. If you guys enjoyed this video, then...
I ain't gonna lie, yeah, he right, man. I ain't really noticed, but yeah, they didn't really do him no justice. I was excited when Iceman actually turned to ice for the first time. Me and my girlfriend, we watched, I think last year, we watched all the X-Men's movies in chronological order. So, yeah, we didn't see them at all. But, yeah, that was sad when they had killed him. But, yeah, you're right, man. They should show Iceman some love. Hopefully, since they Disney or NCU, whatever, got the rights to X-Men, hopefully they show him some love. Because he needed, like, ice powers. Like, come on, man. I ain't really seen, you know what I'm saying? The My Hero Academia, the dude that got the ice powers and the half ice, half fire, half ice, shit, that's really what Iceman supposed to be. Cause he made the whole building cold. You know what I'm saying? He froze the whole building, like, you know what I'm saying? He freeze people's feet in place, like, yeah, My Hero Academia really, like, show what ice power is supposed to be like, but I guess back then CGI wasn't really all that or something, or the budget, or I don't know what it was, but I don't know. They just they ain't want to put no money into him. They should have though. Iceman was, as a kid, you know what I'm saying. You got your little favorites. So Iceman was one of my favorites. X-Men, Iceman, Wolverine, Magneto. I like Nightcrawler, Cyclops, of course. But hell yeah, man, they just didn't really show him no love. It's your boy Kevin, man. Comment down below if you agree or disagree. I kind of agree. I ain't gonna lie.